All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. We've got some work to do today. We're going to pimp our trash can. What we're going to do is we're going to replace this funky 16:9 camera with a normal 4:3 camera, and we're going to ditch this mess of wires back here for an XT30 connector. All right. So first things first, we got to get this pot apart. Find yourself a Phillips screwdriver. Not really sure where I put mine. Oh, there it is. Let's go ahead and get this pot off of here. This canopy. Just 3 screws holding it in. There's not a screw on the front. There we go. Get that off of there. Try to get our hardware out so we don't lose it. These should both be fairly easy mods. Nothing crazy. All right, so luckily this thing's all connected by pins, so we can get this camera off the rest of the quad pretty easily. So as you can notice, there's already gonna have a little bit of a hiccup here, as the stock camera has the plug end and the new camera has the socket end, and we need to swap these around. So I'm going to do the easy thing. I'm going to cut this guy off of here and put it on this one. You could go the more drastic route and remove this and solder directly to the pads if you wanted. But I kind of want to keep that clean plug and play aesthetic that we already have going here. So let's go ahead and get our camera out of the canopy. It's a 1.5 millimeter hex driver to get this thing off. All right, now we have this little pod here, and the camera just kind of slips out of there. Okay. Old camera, new camera. See, there is really no visible difference here. I think, yeah, I can't really tell the difference at all. Even the markings on them are exactly the same. So after searching through my scrap bin, I never throw anything away. Just in this off occasion that I come across a part that I need. This came with, I don't know, came with some old Runcam camera, but it has the same connector that I need to replace. So instead of mutilating the old camera, I am just gonna use this half. But the process is gonna be exactly the same. Cut your wire, and then you'll have your connector. So let's go ahead and give it the old snip. There we go. So now we have our connector that we need to graft onto this guy. And we'll just make sure the pin out is the same as the old one, and it is. Go ahead and start up the old soldering iron and start tinning some wires. I usually run my iron about 850 degrees, and we'll just give this a little touch here. And 1, 2, 3, no going back now. There we go. There we go. All right, now next part, we just got to hook the two together. But before we do that, let's do the part that I always forget. Let's get some heat shrink out. Now we don't need a ton of heat shrink. We just need a little bit. about that much should be more than enough. About what, 15, maybe 10 millimeters of heat shrink. That's all we're gonna need. And all right, so we'll go ahead and just do these one by one. Got my video out wire. And we'll just go ahead and solder the two together. Be nice if I had 3 hands, eh? All right, so since we've already tinned these up, we should just be able to put a little bit of solder on our iron and just touch the wires together, let it liquefy, get out of there, and Bob's your uncle. There you go. That's one wire down. 2 left. I drop like flies here. Let's go ahead and flip this guy over. All right. Do our ground wire. Again, same process. Having a little bit of this blue tack here, that always helps. Thank you, Stu from UAV Futures, for that idea. And just give it a little bit of heat. Let the 2 wires fuse. And we'll get out of there. Oh, didn't stick. There you go, there's 2. Unfortunately, I think I was on the wire a little too long and my heat shrink kind of shrunk. See if I can get that back over the joint. There we go. Yep, we got it. No, we didn't. Dang it. All right, so I have to redo that one. Sometimes things just don't work out the way you think they're going to. There you go. Trim off this little high spot here. There we go. And perfect. There. Like we knew what we were doing. And the last wire. All right. And this is the power wire. There we go. 3 soldered wires for an OE style connection. Now we'll just go ahead and shrink these guys down. There we go. Now get our canopy, get that lens cap out of there. And we'll line up our screw holes and grab the outer canopy, put the 2 halves together, get ourselves a screw, and just put the 2 halves together. There we go. And that's just lightly tightened down. We'll tighten everything down all the way when we're done here. Make sure everything lines up first. This is a little fiddly. There we go. And once you get that screw started, it'll all just kind of fall into place. There we go. And that is that. We'll go ahead and set that aside. Next, we're going to work on this power wire here and get rid of this guy. So, well, we still have our old soldering iron warmed up. Just come back here, get that positive wire, kind of keep an eye out, remember which way these go. So there's a blank pad, power, ground. So we'll just go ahead and get power wire off of there, and the next wire off is that ground wire. Again, I'm still at 850 degrees. There's our series connection PH 2.0. And that bag of goodies that your trash can came with, we'll go ahead and get that XT30 connector out of there that they were so gracious to send with us. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to retin these because I don't know what kind of craptastic grade of solder they used on there. For a while there, all things that were considered toys that were sold to the US couldn't contain lead, so they used lead-free solder on everything. I don't know if it's a little wives' tale or not, but that was why the original Xbox, or why the Xbox 360s all went to shit so quick. It's because they used lead-free solder on them. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to add some fresh solder to it. And we'll just go ahead and touch these solder pads real quick. Put a little bit of solder on them. There we go. Okay. So we'll just take our XT30 connector, and I think I'll just, well, here's a good thought. Take whatever battery you're going to use, go ahead and install it, and kind of mock it up so you can get an idea of where you want this XT30 to run. Do not connect it. We don't want any sparks. But if you kind of mock it up, you can at least kind of figure out where you're going to want to run it. So I'm thinking kind of like that. That puts a lot of stress on it. Not really liking any of those mounting methods here. What if we put the battery in from the front? Oh, look at that. That's probably going to be the slickest setup right there. So, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of different ways you can run this, but it looks like we're going to come up through here and into our board. And I'm really not liking the way that solder is looking right there, so I think I'm gonna cut these off and start with some fresh wire. They're just looking a little funky for my taste. And let's go ahead and tin these up again. See how those are nice and shiny now? They don't have that like dull. Get this guy wired up. I already forgot which way those go on there. Stupid short memory. All right, go back and double check. All right, so let's go ahead and hook up this ground wire. And trim a little bit off the end there. And we'll hook up that power wire. I don't like the way that wire looks at all. Let's get that out of there. And that should be that. All right, now let's get this guy put back together. This could be a little on the difficult side. I apologize if I go out of frame a little bit here. This thing is not the easiest thing in the world to put together, especially with a camera in front of you. All right, that's it. Back together. Pain in the butt that was. If you wanted to change your VTX antenna out, that would have been a good time to do it. But since it's on UFL, I'm not too worried about getting it in there now. Plus, I don't have one to replace it with. So, all right, here's the moment of truth. Yeah, you should check for continuity here. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and contact. There we go. Good deal. The last thing that you're going to want to do is, and I've already tried this and I've confirmed that this will fix a lot of issues. For mine, the range sucks. The RF range, I'm not talking about the VTX range, but the RF range sucks. Lots of dropouts, lots of fail safes, real sluggish performance. And I figured out that changing it from Frsky X, the D16 mode, to Frsky D, the D8 mode, fixes all these issues. It's the same problem that was on the first generation Crazybee boards with the Frsky SPI receiver. They don't do well on D16 mode. Change it to D8, it will solve, I'm pretty confident it will solve most of your problems, if not all of them, as far as your RF range goes, or your RC range goes. If you want to know how to do that, I'll put a link here to another video I did that shows you exactly how to do it in both your transmitter and in Betaflight. And the only thing you lose is a few channels, like for your switches, but you still get telemetry, and it solves all these issues for me. So I highly recommend doing that, especially if you're having any sort of weird unresponsiveness, twitches, fail safes, lockups, like where it lands but everything kind of quits working. I highly recommend doing that. All right, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this. Check out my link if you want to get yourself this 4.3 caddx camera. Like, subscribe, follow along. Let me know if you've done this, if it worked out for you. How do you feel a difference using XT30s instead of the two JST 2.0s? I'm going to be running the GMB 300 milliamp batteries. These fit very well. The Beta FPV 450 milliamp, these are just a hair too big and they don't really fit that well. I'm sure if you really tried hard, you could jam them in there, but I'm afraid you would break these mounts off. So I don't recommend this battery. A little too thick, but this one fits just fine. All right, I'm going to put some DVR footage up there. I'll put some of the new footage with the 4.3 camera on there, and tell me how you think it looks compared to the 16:9. I'll put a link here to another flight video where I flew this guy around. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by, and as always, keep flying.
All right, so this is a little bit of flight footage from being indoors. I don't know how to explain it, but it's way more manageable now. I think having those two PH 2.0 connectors created such a bottleneck that the motors and the PID loop weren't able to operate the way they should. But with this XT30, it flies like you would think it should. And with that 4.3 camera in there, things aren't all funky and distorted and rushing up on you like they were before. And here's some footage from outside. That hoop is actually round now. And as far as the range goes, like this is about as far as I could go before, but now I'm going all the way to the back of my property without a single dropout, hiccup, or glitch, and it's because of that Frsky X mode, the protocol for the SPI receiver, switching it to Frsky D, going back to a D8 setup, fixed all these issues for me. All right, well, I'm gonna shut up and let you guys enjoy some video, and if you have any comments or questions, put them in the comment box below. All right, guys, happy flying.